Is quality function deployment, and that is topic of subject quality toolkit for managers, and the subject code is KMBOM-03. Okay, so these are some references that you may refer for further study about the topic. QFD. QFD is what? House of quality, or you may say it quality function deployment. Okay, so that you may refer by accessing these references. Okay. So now the topic is what is quality function deployment? Okay, so quality function deployment, or QFD, is a model for product development and production popularized in Japan in the 1960s. And the model aids in translating customer needs and expectations into technical requirements by listening to the voice of customer. What is voice of customer basically? If you talk about this quality function deployment, so quality function deployment, you may draft along the voice of customer. And what is voice of customer? Means what your customer is looking for basically in your product. Okay, so that is voice of customer. So you would identify first that what your customer is looking for, and based on that, how will you satisfy that voice of customer? Means how will you deliver or how will you cover that voice of customer? So you will identify what are the points that you may cover in anticipation of that voice of customer. Okay, so developed in 1960s Japan, QFD was imported to United States in the early 1980s and caught on thanks to its popularity and successful track record in the automotive industry. Means if you talk about quality function deployment, it was first adopted by automotive industry. Okay, so copying the model from manufacturers such as Toyota and Mitsubishi, the big three American car makers used QFD to bring customer centricity to their industry. Okay, so once adopted, QFD shortened design cycle significantly and reduced the total number of employees required in the design process. Okay, so shifting the focus from bottom line cost analysis to customer satisfaction brought innovation and increased sales of domestic vehicles after the surge in popularity of Japanese imports in 1970s. So if you see that this philosophy means this tool, this is a model or this is a tool that has been invented in 1960s and became popular in around the 1980s in Western countries, means Japan and USA basically. Okay, and it was first adopted by automotive industry. So today QFD and the house of quality can be found in a variety of industries and are the part of Six Sigma toolbox. Means if you talk about Six Sigma, so first I have talked about another tool, benchmarking. So for that you may also use this QFD, okay, to check whether where you are performing and where your customers are performing. Okay, so you may consider it as a tool for Six Sigma, as well as benchmarking, as well as TQM also, total quality management also. Okay, so if you talk about what is this model, so it look like this picture. Okay, so that is what first you will draft this voice of customer. Means what your customer require, what are the requirements of your customer. Okay, so you will list here factor number 1, factor number 2, factor number 3, factor number 4, and you will prioritize it. Means what factor customer will consider most. Okay, like in case of car, customer will consider mileage. Okay, and after that safety, after that look. Okay, so you will prioritize it. Means what would be the voice of customer. Okay, another domain that you need to consider is product characteristic. Means what will you deliver in this means product characteristic. Means what will you deliver. Okay, so means to get better mileage, what will you deliver? Means generally we will pick the product with the lesser weight. Okay, so that it can give better mileage to their customers. Okay, so product characteristics you will consider here. And after that, what would be the interaction? Means what would be the relationship in between these product characteristics will map in this interaction matrix. Okay, after mapping this means correlation between this product characteristic, you will draft relationship between your product characteristic as well as voice of customer, means up to what extent you will satisfy the need of your customer. So that you will map here, means in this relationship matrix. And after mapping yourself, you will get here competitors evaluation also, means in which voice of customer parameter, which customer is lying in what position. Basically, customer competitor A would be there, competitor B would be there, competitor C would be there, and you would be there. So where you are lying actually, and where your competitors are lying in your industry. So that will give a clear cut picture. Okay. Next here, importance rating, means that priority multiplied by this relationship matrix, you will get here importance rating. Okay. Similarly, technical difficulty. What is technical difficulty in terms of product characteristic? What are the various technical difficulty? Like if you want to design a camera, so camera should be light weighted, okay, and it should have better color resolution. Okay. So for that, there would be some technical benchmark would be there, or technical tolerance limit would be there. So that difficulty, technical benchmark or technical difficulty, you will map here. Means for lightweight, so what should be weight for that vehicle, or if you want to design camera, so what would be weight for what would be the metals that you would use in camera. Okay, so that technical difficulty or technical specification that you may mention here. Okay, and based on that technical specifications, you will map your performance as well as your competitors performance. Means company A, company B, company C, where are they lying in terms of product characteristics, means technical characteristics of technical specification of product characteristics. So that you will map here. Okay, so basically it looks like a structure of house. That's why it is known as house of quality or quality function deployment. Okay, so the house of quality provides a requirement planning capability, a tool for a graphic and integrated thinking, a means to capture and preserve the engineering thought process, a means to communicate the thought process to new members to QFD team, and a means to inform management regarding inconsistencies between requirement and risk and the need for customer. Means basically it gives totality of picture to you, basically what your customer looks, or what are the requirements of your customer, what you can deliver, and up to what level you can deliver, and in comparison to your competitors. Okay, so basically where are you lying in terms of your voice of customer, voice of customers of voice means requirements of your customers, and as well as your competitor, as well as in terms of technical specification of product characteristics. So it will give a clear cut picture to management, as well as QFD team, as well as process owner, as well as thinkers, to draft a strategy. So this is a tool that you may use in multiple dimensions. You may use it as input to Six Sigma, input to TQM, and input to benchmarking, etc. processes. Okay, so this is basically this methodology of QFD. So how does QFD quality function deployment work? Okay, so the quality function deployment process begins with collecting input from customers, okay, or potential customers, typically through surveys. So you will conduct data and through market research companies, or through some external consultant, or through your internal teams. Okay, and you will collect data from your customers or prospective customers in case of in case you have not you have designed only new products. So in that case you may look for your prospective customers also. Okay, the sample size for these surveys should be fairly significant, because quantifiable data will carry more weight, and avoid letting any outlier comment drive product strategy in wrong direction. Means you should take a substantial amount of sample, basically, okay, to judge whether we should what are the various parameters that customers are considering, basically. Okay, so if you will get quantifiable data, that would be much better to you than having only qualitative data. Okay, so you should look for qualitative as well as quantitative data, both. Okay, so after completing the survey and aggregating the data along with the competitive analysis when applicable, it is boiled down into the voice of customer. Means after that collecting data and analyzing it, you will identify what are the basic requirements of your customers, what your customers are looking for. So these customer requirement, request, demand, and preferences are framed as specific items and ideally ranked in terms of importance. And after that, once you have noticed the voice of your customers, and then you will make a priority rating of your customer. Okay, means which factor your customers are considering on higher side, okay, on larger side. Okay, so these are then listed on the left hand side of the house of quality metrics and represent what customers want to the product to do. So basically, what are the functionalities that customers are looking for, and what are the most important, then you may rate it also. So from here, the technical requirement can be created with each of them tying back to the voice of customer items identifies in the signature quality function deployment matrix. Okay, so house of quality, that is known as house of quality. So these voice of customer items will continue to trickle down into other stages of product development and deployment, and including component definitions, process planning, and quality control. So when the product is done, the voice of customer requirement initially identified in the process should be clearly met or intentionally left out, and the product can be released with the confidence that it is meeting the need of customers. So basically, once you have identified that voice of customer, then you will select that how will we cover those needs, how will we will we anticipate those needs, basically needs of customer. Okay, so next is, as soon as there is a well understood customer and their challenges and desires have been quantifiable captured, QFD can be incorporated into the product development process. So it is most effective when it is used throughout the entire product life cycle. If you use it entire product life cycle, that will be beneficial for your company perspective. And if you consider only in product development stage, so that will not work basically. So if you want to consider it as a tool or method, so you should consider it for entire product life cycle. So as its main purpose is to ensure a constant focus on the voice of customer, and you can't check it off as completed, since it is an ever present ingredient every step of our way. Okay, so QFD is most appropriate when companies are focused on relatively iterative innovation versus something completely new, since there is a large base of customer feedback and input to drive the process. When a product is creating a completely new category, it is more difficult to fully articulate the voice of customers, since they don't necessarily have a frame of reference. But even in these cases, carrying forward what is known about customer needs and preferences can provide value. So you should consider it throughout that process. Basically, if you have adopted this QFD for benchmarking, so you should consider it entire product life cycle. If you have adopted it for Six Sigma, for that also you should consider it for entire product life cycle, not only product development phase. Okay, and if you are designing a new product or creating a new service for your customers, so for that purpose only, you should adopt it for that purpose, and after that you should consider it for entire product life cycle or service life cycle basically. Okay, so that is basically when should you use the quality function deployment. Okay, so next is this advantages and disadvantages of cloud function deployment. So quality function deployment benefits companies primarily by ensuring they bring products to market that customers actually want, and thanks to listing to customer preferences at the beginning of design process, and then mandating these needs and desires are met throughout every aspects of design and development process. Means you will better map towards the need or wants of your customer, as well as up to what extent you will fulfill those needs, so that you may map here by deploying this quality function deployment. So in short, if something is not being built because a customer wants it, or it provides underlying support for a customer need, it does not get built at all. So which can prevent technology from driving strategy when it's not directly beneficial to the customer experience. Okay, so constantly and consistently circling back to customer might seem like overkill, but it quickly identifies and often cuts short an activity that does not work towards the ultimate goal of providing customers want to buy and use. Means by this way you may map your competitors performance also, and by this way you may identify where you are lagging. Okay, so the gray areas you may identify and you may improve further. Okay, so that you can get a better competitive as in comparison to your competitors. So, and by limiting product development activities to just the things customers are asking for, the overall process is faster, more efficient, and less expensive. So these are some advantages associated with this quality function deployment, but it is highly time taking process. So that is basically the disadvantage uh, associated with this quality function deployment. So since collecting consumers input and applying them throughout the product development processes, such a cross functional activity, it can also increase teamwork and ensure the entire organization is aligned around the same goal of customer satisfaction instead of competing with other internal priorities. Means generally we work in functional area in our organization. So in that case we are only working towards improving functional output basically. But if you are dealing with this cloud quality function deployment, so in that way you will this activity would be cross functional basis. Okay, so cross functional means you will look for the entire perspective. Means you will look towards benefiting the entire organization basically. So that is a broadened perspective of this quality function deployment. Okay, quality function deployment does not come without its share to downsides. Okay, so first of all, it can be a seismic change for some organization, particularly those with an established process primarily focused on profitability and cost reduction. So while QFD should ultimately result in both of these objectives as well as satisfied customers, switching the primary motivation to the customer satisfaction can be jarring and meet some resistance, particularly if the company thinks it's already doing a great job with this. Okay, so these are some advantages associated with quality function deployment. Another is the tunnel vision focused QFD on customer can also have some negative repercussion. Okay, so what is this? If a customer need drive up to the product cost or delay technological innovations that could benefit the company down the line. And QFD's customer focus also places a huge emphasis on survey result, which if poorly designed or executed could push a company in the wrong direction, and also don't account for changes in customer needs and desires that may emerge after the product design process has commenced. Means there are some negative point associated with this QFD. What are various negative points? Like it is a time consuming process and it involves each and every one coordination in this in deploying this method. Okay, means basically it looks a cross functional perspective. And if you want if you want to satisfy your customer, in that case you should collect data regardless of that biasness. So survey result, if it is poorly designed, so that will not help you all. Okay, and negative repercussion is also that product cost or delay technologies innovations, and that could benefit the company down the line basically. Okay, so these are some negative points associated with it. If you mitigate some negative or some disadvantages associated with QFD, so in that way you it would be advantageous activity for you. Okay, as well as your organization to deploy other processes like Six Sigma, or deploying this benchmarking, or deploying TQM. Okay, so this is all about the basic introduction of quality function deployment. These are some references that you may refer for further study about the topic. Okay, so if you have any query or